Let me ask you a question I'm sure you've been asked countless times in your life. What is the strangest Mario plush you've ever seen? Now, many fine people would say, oh, easy, it's gotta be the Kelly Toy Mario. Or maybe those fishing for deep cuts would say something like the Acme Luigi. And I mean, if we count bootlegs, yeah. But if we're sticking to official plushes, let me tell you guys about a little known company by the name of Play-by-Play. Play-by-Play is a company similar to the likes of Kelly Toy and Toy Factory. They produce items, mainly plushes, for amusement parks, arcades, and carnivals. You'd only be able to find their products in places where you could win them. Claw machines, carnival games, etc. In America, Play-by-Play isn't that well known, as it seems a bulk of their products were only ever released in Europe, or more specifically, Spain. However, if you do recognize their name, you probably do thanks to their line of Pokemon plushes. Before Toy Factory got the rights to make Pokemon plushes, Play-by-Play was the leading Pokemon amusement plush manufacturer. They produced these guys in the peak of Pokemon's popularity, and they were able to be found in arcades and carnivals all over. The thing that makes these plushes stand out, and you'll notice this is sort of a trend with Play-by-Play stuff, is that they all look a little bit off. I mean, some of their Pikachus do look pretty good, but others, yeah, you wouldn't want to cross this guy. While I don't own any of the Nintendo plushes we'll be looking at soon, I do own this Pikachu. This is their 6-inch Pikachu plush, and he's amazing. You can't look at that face and tell me you've possibly seen a better looking plush. It's impossible. I don't collect a ton of Pokemon plushes, but I couldn't say no to this Pikachu. Maybe I'll even go for the other sizes someday, as they're equally good. Some of my favorites from this set include their very happy looking Eevee, their Togepi is pretty legendary, their Mew which has very small eyes, and more. Some of them actually do look pretty good. Like their Charizard, which along with Pikachu is probably the one people recognize the most, looks pretty good, even if his head is a little oddly placed. These Pokemon plushes showcase all of the common qualities of a Play-by-Play set. Questionable quality control, odd design choices, off-model appearances, but a lot of charm. The Pokemon Company would never let plushes so off-model be released today. These Play-by-Play plushes are an absolute product of their time, and I respect them a lot because of that. This Nintendo plush set is a very similar case. Released in 2002, this set is pretty large, as it contains 8 characters, as far as I know at least. With that said, let's get into this. One of the strangest officially licensed Nintendo plush sets of all time. Welcome to a look back at the Play-by-Play Nintendo plush set. This set has a pretty unique cast of characters. We've got 4 Mario characters, as well as 4 Donkey Kong characters. The lineup includes Mario, Yoshi, or well, 2 of them, one based off of his classic Super Mario World appearance, with the other being a more modern Yoshi. I'll get more into this later, but it seems throughout the line Play-by-Play released several revisions of their plushes, with this Yoshi being the most drastic. We've also got this hilarious looking Bowser, as well as this shifty looking Toad. For Donkey Kong, we have the big banana slammer himself, this unsure looking Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong who's a much appreciated addition to the set, as well as this honestly incredible Funky Kong plush. As far as I'm aware, that's the whole set, meaning unfortunately, there's no Luigi plush. I can only imagine how great a Play-by-Play Lewis plush would look, but I guess we aren't worthy of such a thing. This set wasn't released in America, and it sure wasn't released in Japan. These guys were available in European countries such as Spain. The Play-by-Play website seems to originate from Spain, so it seems that's where a majority of these were released. That also means they're pretty uncommon to find on sites like US eBay, and instead you'll have to search on places like eBay ES. Because of this, info on this set is very scarce, and it was a struggle to research for this video. This set is all around pretty unknown, so hopefully this video gives this set the attention it absolutely deserves. With that said, let's begin with Mario. When you're making a Mario plush set, you need to make sure at least Mario looks good, right? Well, Play-by-Play did an alright job with him, I guess. Look, I know what you're thinking, but Mario is actually one of the better looking plushes in this set. The mustache is what really makes him look bad, I'd say. It's all frilly and isn't shaped anything like Mario's mustache should be. I've seen some other Mario plushes take the risk of doing a fluffy mustache, and I don't think any of them have really pulled it off. Here it looks like a flat bar of hair, definitely not accurate or appealing. The rest of him is decent at least. I mean, he does look like Mario, which is a good start. His eyes are made of plastic and they look fine. At least this Mario never came with black eyes unlike the original Kelly Toy Mario. However, he does have yellow eye shine details, and that's not because the plush is faded or anything, they all look like this. It makes him look diseased in a way, as if he didn't already. Now, you may be wondering, where is Mario's mouth? He does have one, it's just hidden under his bushy mustache. Well, on this release of Mario at least, I believe this Mario with the hidden mouth was the first one to come out, while this was the revised Mario. Now we're talking. There's that scary open mouth we all wanted. I'm not sure if this was an improvement or not. Honestly, some of these Marios look pretty scary, especially the larger ones, cause yeah, Play-by-Play made these plushes in multiple sizes, as is common practice for amusement park plushes. Mario's pose is a little confusing. What's he doing with his arms, and why do they look so beefy? His proportions are all pretty wrong. I'm a big fan of how the overall's legs are scrunched up because they made them too long to fit the plush. Technically speaking, this plush does have all of Mario's details, it's just the execution of them looks so strange. This is just not an appealing looking plush. Kelly Toy's Mario is goofy, but at least he looks funny enough to be endearing. This guy is just not pleasant to look at in my opinion. Some of them do look decent though, like this one looks pretty alright. A little floppy, but he's okay. Given how these were arcade prizes though, that does mean that you had to win these. Someone's prize for winning that claw machine was this man, and that's great. Imagine dropping tons of money on that rigged carnival game because you really wanted the Mario they had, and it was this. Someone out there had to have experienced that. I'll be comparing these plushes a lot to the Kelly Toy plushes, and that's because, well, this set sort of feels like an alternate dimension version of the Kelly Toy set. It was released around a similar time, has similar design aspects, but was just released in a different market. The closest comparison between the two sets are the tags. Now, you may be thinking, whoa, that's the same tag used on the Kelly Toy plushes, and just with a black border. Did Play-by-Play steal it from Kelly Toy? Well, maybe, but chances are no. I haven't mentioned this yet in a video, but this tag design was actually part of a general Nintendo style guide they made for generic Nintendo-themed merchandise. Sorta like how the World of Nintendo brand isn't just used by Jakks Pacific, but other companies too. The style of a red background with Mario, DK, Yoshi, Link, etc. was used by many companies in the late 90s to early 2000s. There's a likely chance Kelly Toy didn't even design this tag, and it was instead given to them directly by Nintendo. Which yes, unfortunately means a Kelly Toy Link prototype plush likely doesn't exist, but Yoshi did, so I can dream. Anyway, that's why the Play-by-Play plushes use the same tag. The tag can also be seen on plushes made by the company Gosh, whose plushes were based off of Sane's Mario Party 5 plushes. Confused yet? Yeah, take this Gosh Toad plush for example. It's literally a Sane Mario Party 5 looking Toad with a Kelly Toy looking tag, and yet it was made by neither company. This was a very confusing era for Nintendo merchandise. Anyway, the tag fits this set very well. Its N64 era appearance matches the plush's off-modelness perfectly, though just like Kelly Toy, it seems Play-by-Play never did make a Link plush, though maybe that's for the best. As for rarity, I can't really give an accurate price here. I see them go for pretty cheap usually, but that's only on sites with sellers in Spain or Europe as a whole. Because of that, it can be hard to find listings of these guys that ship outside of their native territory, though importing them would absolutely be worth it. I'm sure some of these could go for a lot considering their uniqueness, but I would never pay huge money for them. Well, with the exception of one bodacious fellow we'll be looking at later. All of these guys are priceless. Let's just leave it at that. So, clearly Play-by-Play's Mario is a little strange, but it's nowhere near the weirdest looking plush in this set. While Kelly Toy's many attempts at a Yoshi plush were never approved by Nintendo, somehow, miraculously, this guy was released. And you know what? He doesn't actually look terrible. Neither of them do. Cause yeah, for whatever reason, Play-by-Play made two entirely separate Yoshi plushes. One clearly based off of his original design, an interesting choice considering the set came out in 2002, Play-by-Play must have realized that as they later came out with this guy. Let's start with the original Yoshi. He's clearly based off of the artwork from Super Mario World, and they captured him pretty well. Few Yoshi plushes capture that distinct 90s Yoshi feel, but this one certainly does. And sure, it doesn't look as good as, say, the Sun Arrow Yoshi plush, he definitely pulls the look off well. I mean, sure, his nostrils look weird, and his pose was designed for 2D artwork so it doesn't look that great as a plush in general, but as far as Play-by-Play plushes go, he doesn't look half bad. I just have to wonder, why does he exist at all? This set was released in 2002. That's far after Yoshi's current design was established, so how did the plush of his classic design get approved and released? I guess in a set with plushes like this, anything goes, but I wonder why Play-by-Play themselves went for a plush of the classic Yoshi as opposed to the one we know today. Maybe at the time this was just seen as the more iconic design or something, but it seems Play-by-Play saw how weird of a decision it was, as they later made a completely separate plush of Yoshi, and released that later. Here's, modern Yoshi? I suspect he's based off of this render from Yoshi's Story, as it's the one seen on the tag. However, as you can see, both on the plush and on the tag, Yoshi has blue eyes. eyes. Which, while Yoshi does have blue highlights in his eyes are never fully blue like this, so this isn't fully accurate. I have no idea why the tag has Yoshi with fully blue eyes though. It must have been some sort of error on someone's part, but it's an error that made it all the way to the plush. This guy once again doesn't look half bad. They cleaned up his nostrils, he's in a cool pose, and he's overall pretty well built and proportioned. While the classic Yoshi plush is cool because it's a unique take on the character, this one's just all around pretty accurate. Apart from the eyes of course, but that just makes him more unique. It's very interesting that Play by Play would feel the need to completely remake a plush in their set for future releases. It's also interesting to note that I've never seen a larger sized retro Yoshi. If that exists, that would be awesome. Not sure if they made Yoshi in that size though. However, this small keychain Yoshi apparently does exist. This is the only Play by Play Nintendo plush I've ever seen with a keychain, but he's bagged, so it seems he may have been officially released like this. Like I said, info on this set is pretty hard to find nowadays, and we don't have any official catalogs or anything like that, so it's unknown exactly what sizes these plushes were made in. In fact, I didn't even know the next plush we'll be looking at existed until far into researching for this video. Now, let me tell you something. Researching for this video was full of surprises. For example, I didn't even know this guy existed before working on this video, but apparently, Play by Play made a Toad plush. Or at least, I think this is Play by Play. I mean, he looks weird enough to fit the set, but I've only ever seen one listing of him. Though, it was being sold by someone who lives in Spain, and the site has other Play by Play Nintendo listings, so chances are, yeah, this is a Play by Play Toad. Mr. Bup over here is looking pretty alright. In fact, they didn't really mess up anything on him at all. You might be thinking, oh, well he's missing the yellow border around his vest. But no, Toad didn't have that until the GameCube era. And while this plush was released during that, it's pretty clear this plush is based off of this render from Mario Party. He's got the same pose and everything. I mean, knowing Play by Play, I would have expected him to have legs or something, but no, this is a pretty inoffensive Toad plush. His face looks a little off-putting, sure. I'm not a fan of the white shine in his eyes being centered, but this is one of the better looking plushes in this set. He's got a very determined stance going on. I'll give him that, he looks like a confident Toad. It's so weird how I've been able to find tons of pictures of the other plushes but only one listing of Toad. I guess he just had a short production run? You'd think they would make more of him than some of the others. He looks pretty good, which makes sense cause Toad is a simple character. Play by Play definitely messed up more on the more complicated designs, such as the one we'll be looking at next. Oh, come on! That music doesn't fit this plush at all. Let's get a more fitting piece playing. Now we're talking. Bowser, King Koopa himself, the ultimate evil, isn't holding up too well with the play-by-play treatment. What's up with his pose? Is he playing the saxophone? Is he doing it to him? What's he doing? Why does he look so sad? What happened to this man to give him such a glum look? I hope he's doing okay. I mean, look at him. Well, okay, from the front he looks alright. Not menacing or Bowser-like or anything, but he looks better. His hair and eyebrows are a big contributor to what makes this plush what it is. Instead of making it a shaped pattern like most Bowser plushes, they used the same material as Mario's mustache for this, and as such he's got some wild hair. Other oddities include the metal bars around his arms not completely covering his arms? Really? What, is Bowser wearing some slap bracelets he's too big for or something? The bottom of his feet are completely white, and aren't patterned like they should be. Some Bowsers can look pretty smushed in the face, such as this one. The one part of this plush that is pretty good is his shell. It actually looks really well done, and all of the spikes are presented clearly and appropriately. While the spikes on his shell look good, the one on his tail is the same color as his tail. It's still shaped like a spike, but this does not look normal. This is just a really sloppy plush all around. While it's certainly one of the goofiest looking Bowsers ever made, it's definitely not well made. I appreciate this plush for existing and being as weird as it is, but man, I'd say Bowser's objectively one of the best worst plushes in this set, because he looks so bad, so off-model, but so funny. How did Nintendo approve this? This is Bowser, the main villain of Nintendo's main series, and they were fine with him looking like this? Keep doing what you're doing, Play-by-Play Bowser. I appreciate you. And that's it for the Mario side of the line, but we're only halfway done here, as we still have 4 Donkey Kong plushes to look at. Let's go! Just like Kelly Toy's line, this set was treated less as a Mario plush set and more as a Nintendo set as a whole. Like how Jax's World of Nintendo figures aren't just World of Mario. While neither company went too far outside of Mario, as they only also made Donkey Kong characters, it's still important to note as most Mario plush sets don't include the more obscure members of the Kong family seen here. To start us off, here's their Donkey Kong. Yep, that sure is Donkey Kong. Not too much to say on this guy. He just looks pretty standard, apart from his face looking a little silly. And this is one of the better looking DKs I've seen. Check out this guy. For some reason, they gave DK bangs? What you've seen so far have just been the smaller DKs, but the larger DKs are the real showstoppers. Look at this guy. This man looks like he would beat someone up for their Neopets password. Like, look at this dude. Look at those hands. At least he's in a pretty Donkey Kong-esque pose, unlike Kelly Toy's Caveman DK. But man, if you had the chance to pick one of these guys up at a carnival, would you? Trick question, of course you would. DK's unkept hair is in full effect here, and his ears are huge. I guess as these play-by-play plushes get larger in scale, all of their, defining features get more pronounced. But now hang on, there's not just one DK in this play-by-play set, we've also got Diddy and Dixie to look at. So let's move on to Diddy Kong. Diddy Kong plushes are always all over the place. We've got good-looking ones, absolute long boys, odd-looking ones, and, play-by-play Diddy. Here's a plush that can capture all the emotions you'd want. You can get sad Diddy, unsure Diddy, happy Diddy, and Diddy after hearing the news that he just won a lifetime supply of Tony's frozen pizza. You know play-by-play, always one to honor quality control. Now, if his face doesn't stick out to you, his hat should. The sly dogs over at play-by-play flipped Diddy's hat around as if to show he's the coolest of the cool. He's not, Funky Kong is. What they really did is they flipped it around to hide the fact that they skipped the Nintendo logo on his hat. A good one, play-by-play. Hey look, he's got the star on his shirt. Sure, he only has one of the two he should, but hey, good on ya, play-by-play. It's just that, you know, his face makes him look super goofy. And I suppose that's the whole charm with this set. Yeah, we all know they aren't super accurate, and aren't crowning achievements in plush manufacturing, but you know what? They're trying their best. You know, it's pretty impressive play-by-play was able to release these plushes without Nintendo cracking down on them. Usually Nintendo is very protective of their characters and how they appear, but I guess whoever distributes the Nintendo International license just didn't care. Once again, Diddy's got the great look of placing eye shines directly in the middle of his eyes, and his plastic eyes are generally off-centered or crooked. Now, one thing that's pretty interesting about both the Diddy and Dixie plushes in this set is that as you can see here, their mouths are opened. I think they're supposed to look happy, but instead it looks like they're just screaming really loudly. With that said, some Diddy and Dixies have closed mouths. I guess this was just another revision in a later release. But now Diddy looks like he's just really embarrassed by whatever he just said, and is keeping his lips sealed. Once again, I'm not really sure if this can be considered an improvement, but it's interesting. Now, even in Mario plush sets containing DK plushes, Diddy Kong is a pretty common inclusion, but here's where things get interesting. Dixie Kong was lucky enough to get the play-by-play treatment. Okay, so there are probably an infinite amount of ways I could attack this plush, but the thing that baffles me the most is her hat. See, originally, Dixie's hat donned the Rareware logo. Of course, Rare left Nintendo in 2002. This plush was released in 2002, making this possibly the last ever Dixie plush to be able to feature that legally. Though knowing this set, I think it's likely they designed the plush without even knowing that, and maybe she was even released after Rare left Nintendo, and they just didn't realize it. They did eventually though, as this revised Dixie, who looks a ton better than the original, lacks the logo. Dixie rarely had the logo on her hat anyway, even in classic renders, so it's unfortunate play-by-play chose to even detail it in given the unfortunate timing. Sure, it's barely even recognizable, but still. Like I said, Dixie had two plushes made of her, and similar to Yoshi, they both look pretty different, though it's not as drastic. Let's start with the original Dixie. She looks a lot like the Diddy plush. Similar build, similar gaping mouth. However, she isn't a copy of Diddy, as she has her necessary details. She has colored unique eyes, and of course, her hair. It's made of this shiny metallic material that looks like it could rip easily. Here's a Dixie with her hair fallen off. Yeah, not the best material for this. At first I thought these things were earrings coming off of her ears, but no. It's supposed to be her hair in the front. At least there was an attempt for it. With that said, her hair does look pretty alright, as do her clothes. Nothing spectacular, but it's good they at least detailed these decently well. The rest of her is basically general play-by-play oddities you should be used to at this point. I do appreciate how her fur transitions into her hands and feet well though, and this also applies to the rest of the Kongs. Now that's the original Dixie. Here's the actually improved second release of play-by-play Dixie Kong. This one here is 40 centimeters tall. That's a whopping 15 inches of play-by-play Dixie, so she's fairly large but does look good. The smaller ones don't look as good, but they're still alright. As for differences, they did away with her razor-sharp metallic hair, shaped her eyes better, and gave her actual bangs. They look kinda cheap, but a good improvement over the earrings she had before. They also fixed her shorts, making these more accurate, removed the Rare logo on her hat, and even detailed her painted toenails. As much as I'm joking around with this set in this video, I really do appreciate how they went back and fixed up some of these plushes after their initial release. Any lazy company would have accepted, yeah, these are the plushes we're releasing and that's that. But no, it seems like Play-by-Play realized their plushes weren't good enough and tried to go back and fix them up, and that's commendable. However, the final plush we'll be looking at needed no such revisions, as he was perfect from day one. So it's come to this, the final plush in this set, and arguably the objectively best. I couldn't be talking about anyone else but Play-by-Play Funky Kong. Alright, so get this. Not only is this a Funky Kong plush, not only do we have one with a teeth showing, mouth open, screaming look on his face, but this Funky Kong goes above and beyond all of the other plushes in this set. I don't even need to say anything. I could end the video right here, cause everything I'm about to say goes without saying. This isn't just a Funky Kong plush. Not just a Funky Kong plush holding his surfboard. This is a Funky Kong captured in the moment, immortalized mid-surf. I'm gonna be honest, I genuinely really like this Funky Kong plush. He is going at it, rocking an absolutely bodacious pose, and his expression tells it all. It's pretty clear that this plush was based off of this render from Donkey Kong Country. Unfortunately, he's not based off of this render, so Funky Kong isn't giving us a peace sign, though Play-by-Play probably knew a plush like that would create a black hole instantly, so that's probably why they didn't make it. Funky's sunglasses are surprisingly made of plastic, and look pretty good. While I've never had the universe-shattering, mind-warping, out-of-body experience of holding one of these guys, I can almost guarantee there's no eyes under those sunglasses. These plushes really lose a lot when they're missing stuff. Have you ever wanted to see a Play-by-Play Donkey Kong missing his tie? Would you like to? No? Well, too bad. He looks so defeated, like his tie is everything he had. And I mean, well, look at him, it makes sense. With that said, here's a Funky Kong detached from his surfboard. How a man could commit such a crime is beyond me, but there you go. Funky's wearing sandals and is absolutely killing it in them. Just like the original Diddy and Dixie plushes, Funky's mouth is opened, though I think it definitely works here. Maybe it's just because he has actual teeth. Fully detailed too. His bandana and gold chain look great as well. All in all, this is just a pretty good looking plush, which is great because unfortunately Funky doesn't get a ton of plushes, though some others do exist. However, the larger sized Funky plushes definitely look a lot better than the smaller ones, though they still look pretty great. I mean, wow. Keep in mind, this guy is made even better thanks to his tag. You may think you know what you want in life, but what you really want is a Funky Kong plush with a Kelly Toy tag. If you're gonna get any plush from this set, I'd say make it Funky Kong. In my opinion, he's the best for not only being absolutely bodacious, but he's a pretty good looking plush all things considered, and that can't be said for a lot of these guys. I would love to get one of these someday, especially tagged. Any of these plushes are such oddities they're worth owning, but this guy is genuinely pretty great. I would absolutely recommend getting him if you can. Now, I know you must be thinking, yeah, there's no way you can top this Funky Kong. He's the ultimate play-by-play Nintendo plush. I mean, look at this absolute dude. And you're right. However, while we're done looking at the Nintendo plushes, as a bonus, I'm gonna take a look at one more plush by Play-by-Play. If you thought their Nintendo plushes looked off-model, you clearly haven't seen Play-by-Play's Sonic the Hedgehog plush. That's right, in 2001, Sonic's 10th anniversary year, Play-by-Play released a Sonic plush. And man, there had to have been someone working at Play-by-Play thinking, what if we made a Sonic plush but got literally everything wrong? How does one even critique this guy? I feel like he's null to any criticism. He transcends any form of argument you can make against him. It completely baffles me. This was an officially licensed plush? The year the beautifully done Sonic Adventure 2 plushes were released, this guy was goofing off in Spain? Some of the things that got wrong with this plush are just like, how did you even do that? I know modern Sonic was still new at the time, but ever seen Sonic rocking shoes with purple soles? Now you have. I love the addition of the belly button. That was a really nice touch by Play-by-Play. His spikes are all over the place. Dude looks like he's trying to go supersonic, and the problem's absolutely chronic. He's got some really nice eyes similar to the original Superposer Sonic figure. His hands are also really, really good. Rock on, Play-by-Play Sonic. And don't even get me started on his mouth. The guy's not only got a center mouth, but it's one that extends across his entire muzzle. Reminds me of a certain Sega Sonic plush, which actually, that might be where they got the inspiration from. Because, and this is the part where this goes from being a wacky Sonic plush to something that actually makes no sense. Let's talk about his tag. For a while, I had no idea what his tag even looked like, but eventually one showed up with a tag and it blew my mind. What does it look like? Well, it's a copy of the Sega Sonic tag from the original 1991 plush set, but it's not a direct copy. Look at the back. The Play-by-Play logo is proudly displayed there, and copyright Sega 2001? This is unreal. Sega Sonic branding on an officially licensed plush in 2001? How does this thing even exist? Did Sega of Japan just not look at this one? Sega of Spain must be pretty lax. Believe it or not, this plush is actually pretty rare. Well, tagged ones are. I've seen tagless ones go for pretty cheap, but I've only ever seen one of these guys tagged. I imagine this plush had an incredibly low production run. You can probably see why. Sega of Japan probably got word of this thing existing and immediately slammed down on it. Though maybe not, because in the mid-2000s, Play-by-Play released another Sonic plush set, this time for Sonic X. And this set is actually really cool. It's a localized, cheaper version of the Sega Prez UFO plushes. It includes Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, pretty standard stuff, but also an Eggman and a Chris Thorndike plush. And these all share some slight differences from their Japanese releases, including different materials and a completely different tag. Technically speaking, that means two Chris plushes exist. I would love to get these someday. They're such an anomaly. These X plushes are pretty good looking, though that's because their patterns are unmistakably taken from the Sega Prize plushes. Also, while this 2001 Sonic was the first true Play-by-Play Sonic plush, they did make this head cushion all the way back in 1994. I mean, that's something. So, let's recap. How many Nintendo plushes did Play-by-Play technically make? Well, for starters, we have Mario, but then also Mario with an opened mouth. Then we have Yoshi, well, two Yoshis, and then we have Bowser, as well as this mysterious Toad. And of course, Donkey Kong, as well as Diddy and Dixie. But who could forget the Diddies and Dixies with their mouth closed? Cause they sure exist. And then Funky Kong, rounding out the set. And that's not even counting all the different sizes and apparently keychains that came out. I'm sure lots of you are thinking, wow, these are the worst plushes I've ever seen. But hear me out. Yes, they look so off-model and ridiculous, but that's what makes them special. In a world where every Mario plush that comes out today looks more or less the same, I can really appreciate a set like this. It's the same reason why Kelly Toys Mario plushes are so popular, and the reason why I like Play-by-Play's Pokemon plushes a lot. Every Pikachu plush released today looks so close to one another. Sure, they're in different poses, and have aspects to them that make them unique, but in terms of character design, they're pretty much the same. In terms of keeping a brand consistent and the plushes recognizable, yeah, sure, I understand why companies would want plushes of their characters to be as accurate as possible, but because of that, I really appreciate older plushes that took more risks. There was a time when every Mario plush released looked completely different from one another, and this set was really one of the last times we saw that. Shortly after this set came out, Sine came onto the scene with their Mario Sunshine and Mario Party 5 plushes, and while they do look off in some ways, especially the Sunshine set, they quickly mastered the characters, and to this day produce some of the most high-quality Mario plushes we've ever seen. As for Play-by-Play themselves, they're still around. Their site is still up, and they still produce plushes for many licenses today. SpongeBob, Dragon Ball Super, Ice Age, the Emoji Movie, really, congrats to them. I honestly wasn't expecting this company to still be active after all these years, but nope, they're still really popular in places like Spain. Of course, they no longer make Nintendo or Sonic plushes, but man, have they left a legacy. These plushes are truly one of a kind, and I hope they start getting the attention they deserve as some of the weirdest officially licensed Nintendo plushes of all time.